So one of the things I've been thinking about all day are what are the biggest mistakes I've made in real estate investing? And I can narrow it down to the two very simple things. One, it's the assumptions I was making about the project, about the people, about the structure, about the time. And the other is the probability years ago that I would have of just abdicating my responsibilities. And that would be abdicating my responsibilities to my bookkeeper, or abdicating my responsibilities to my business partner, or abdicating my responsibilities to my investors. And all of those different things cost me a fortune. And what I want to share with you are the ways to not make wild assumptions and these massive abdications of responsibility. And let me describe a couple of those things. One, let's talk about the assumptions. One, I think that we often get googly-eyed about what a project is going to do, what it's going to win, how much you're going to earn on it, how fast you're going to turn it around, and it's just not true. It might be true, but I would, at this stage, err on the side of caution and just say it's not true. I know I want to get the project done in 6 months. I know I want to have, 10 houses by the end of the year. But it's probably not going to happen because you're going to run into one issue and then another issue and then another issue. And you're probably not going to achieve that goal. Now, that doesn't mean I'm saying that you shouldn't set the goal. I am saying that the assumption that you're going to have all of these houses in a year, or that you're going to have this project completed in 6 months, that assumption leads people often to bet on it happening, and they make poor decisions, and that's where it costs them money. Those assumptions can cost you money. So let's pivot over to the abdication and how that ties into those assumptions. When you are working towards getting those goals and you're making all those assumptions, you start to abdicate some of those responsibilities. And so what happened to me was I wasn't following up with my bookkeeper to make sure that the information she was providing to my CPA every month or every quarter was accurately reflecting what was going on in the business. And I found out 2 years after I found a new bookkeeper, and they had to go and do an audit, an internal audit, a forensic audit, and found that nothing had been done, and my CPA wasn't catching it, and he was just relying on his instructions to her 3 years before, and then we didn't have any way to check. I didn't have the system to check. I didn't have the system to check and make sure that it was getting structured and set up correctly in the books, and that it was getting fed to the CPA accurately at the end of the quarter. And that abdication of my responsibility literally cost me instantly about another $20,000 for that forensic audit. And I just urge everybody to start asking some very important questions. What don't I see? It's probably my second favorite question. I'll tell you about my first question, my favorite question in another video. I'll tell you about my first favorite question in another video. But I would say that what don't I see, or what am I assuming to be right, which could be wrong? What am I assuming about this person is wrong, or could be wrong? What am I assuming about the project and the timeline and the contractor or the subcontractor or the tile installer? Does the tile installer have a meth addict? Does the tile installer have a meth addiction? I've run into that. And so he wouldn't show up for 3 or 4 days. So those problems exist. And what you have to do is try to foresee those as we grow in experience. Again, I don't think it has to be your experience that you grow from. It can be mine. And really, that's why I'm putting this video out. Don't make assumptions. And if you do, make sure that you know that they're assumptions, and that you've got plan B and plan C and plan D ready to go if you need to pivot to one of those instead. For the abdication, you're going to have to stay on top of it. You can't abdicate your responsibilities until you found the right team. And even then, you really need to just handle your deliverables every month. And if that means you have to create a meeting with your accountant and your CPA on the 1st or the 10th of the month after the books have been reconciled, then that's what it takes. And that meeting, once you get into a system and once you get into the groove, might take 30 minutes once a month. And then at the end of the quarter, you just say, okay, here's June, July, and August. And those are the appropriate months that you're going to use. Those are the appropriate months that you're going to use when talking to your CPA. So it's a much easier way to put somebody in charge and responsible for those projects, such as the accounting, but also not just abdicate and think, oh, it's handled, because you can lose thousands, if not millions of dollars through assumptions and abdication. I hope this helps. Write some questions below. I'm here to help. Every time you ask a question on this thread, I'm going to respond.